Good day, everybody. Welcome back to another What's This Then. Today we're having a look at a little game called ODDCORE. Now, ODDCORE is a boomer shooter roguelike with liminal spaces slash kind of like a dreamlike aesthetic. Lots of little nostalgic things, lots of liminal spaces, those sort of transitionatory places, which I believe that's the sort of description of sort of a liminal space, somewhere that's kind of like a transitionatory place between two places, sort of like a locker room, the back rooms, for example. That's always been my interpretation of it anyway. I've never actually went and looked up the definition, but that seems to be the vibe. And this game is definitely hitting that. Like I said, with that like little bit of dreamy, nostalgic kind of vibe over the top of it as well, and a little hint of horror. There's just a smidge of horror in there as well. Not that I would say that this is a horror game, but it's something that is there. Now, this was developed by ODDCORE, or ODDCORE. As far as I can see on Steam, this looks to be their first game, as a team, as under the umbrella of ODDCORE anyway. Came out on the 7th of January. I have played it for about 4 hours or so. I'm quite liking it. Now, before we actually jump into the game itself, as usual, let's go through the settings. Now, this is a very stylistic game, so there's not going to be a ton of graphical settings and stuff that you can change, but there is some nice stuff we can tweak anyway. So, you've got your music, sound effects sliders and stuff like that. That's all good. FOV slider, you know, absolute must. HUD scale, reticle scale, all that sort of stuff. Vertically invert your stuff. Auto aim, I haven't actually tested what this does yet. Maybe you can maybe it's for like controllers and stuff, just to give you a bit of aim assist, but it could also just be, like as the name suggests, it could just be if you just want to take shooting or aiming out of it and just focus on the rest of the game, because it can get very hectic. So I can understand why that would be there, possibly. Enemy ragdolls, UI damage number, yep. So graphics. Now, the only thing in here is that the game does not go up to 4K. I'm playing on a 4K monitor, and I cannot select 4K. Now, it's not a problem, because this game doesn't really need that, like... You know, I think with the visual style of the game, I think that might have been an actual deliberate choice not to go up to 4K, because it might compromise the visual aesthetic of the game. So it's fine. I just set it to 1440p, put it at full screen, and it's like perfectly fine. Like there's nothing I can't read or can't visually parse or anything like that. You know, it seems a deliberate choice, so don't be surprised there. But you got your full screen, you got your motion blurs, your V-Syncs. VHS filter, I actually think the game looks really, really cool with this on, but for the purposes of the video, I'm just going to leave that off, but I would recommend turning that one on. Bloom, ambient occlusion, chromatic FX, all that sort of stuff. Exposure, contrast, camera shake. There's also a pixel filter as well, you can turn it on, and you can also set an FPS cap. It is a preset number one. I leave it on unlimited because I cap my own FPS with the NVIDIA control, or the NVIDIA app, I should say now. And then you've also got rebindable keys, as any good game should have. Right, and there's also a tutorial. You play it at the start, and then you can revisit it should you wish to at any time. But let's just jump in. So whenever you hit start, you appear in that room, and then you kind of fall through the floor, and now you're in a theme park, like an underground theme park that has like a diner and an arcade, and this is where the very dreamy nostalgia aesthetic starts kicking in already, because I mean you come into the arcade and it's got the squiggly floor carpet, you know, this like every arcade has had this, you know, you've seen this at some point. There's a lot of in terms of like the levels, there's a lot of, I feel like I've seen this, but I know I haven't kind of going on. You know, they've really nailed the look and feel of this game. I feel like they've really done it justice in terms of what they've set out to do. But yeah, so like I said, this is your hub. So there's a few different things here. There's like leaderboards, stuff like that. So you can do like fastest to win, highest parkour. There's like a parkour mode, stuff like that. You can change it to global, stuff like that. Just a little statue of our like character here. The diner, you can come in here, and this is where you change your music. So you can find cassette tapes, and whenever you find different ones, they give you different effects. So the one I'm currently using is this one here, and it gives me 50% more damage, but 100% more health, but also a 1 starting tax. We'll get into what that means. But this is like the default one. It just, there's no effects. It has the game as standard. This one here is the one I found first. Faster shooting, more jump, more maneuverability, but less health and stuff like that. I quite like this more damage one so far. So you'll find those, and they also affect like what music actually plays and stuff like that, so that's cool. You can also buy tickets. So that'll be a thing for over here. So we have this arcade, and this is kind of this is somewhat of a progression thing. So you come in here, after every run, you get tokens, depending on how far you made it. I think it's directly related to what wave you get to, or variant as they call it. So every level is just like one wave, one variant. Could be wrong on that, it's just what I think is happening there. And then you can spend your tokens on a few different arcade games. You can play like Hopper, you can play like Whack-A-Mole, you can do that little thing where the coins get pushed to the edge and whatever falls over you win. Was the skeet ball shooting? Basketball hoops, all sorts of stuff. They all have different their own little games going on, and they all have different returns on like tickets and stuff like that. And then you can use your tickets to buy stuff from the prize wall here. So you have some cosmetic outfits for your character. I believe I've bought this one, pink skin, Yas heart. You can also just buy a fish. These change. So this was a cat, and then this was, I can't remember, and this was like a smaller fish, and then I bought them, and then they changed. So I think they're just being added. So the dog and the cat, they got added to like around the hub, and they follow me around. It's kind of fun. But these here are gadgets, and these are weapons, so I've unlocked everything in here. Honestly, you just use this thing, the Rug Pull 3000. It's like, you just spam your tokens in there, and you will just get insane amount of tickets back. Especially if you get the big one to fall over. Yeah, so there's a few more things around here. So you have a super secret testing room. This is where you can just go and mess around with mechanics and different enemies and stuff like that. You can go do the tutorial again. There's the endless parkour. You need to get to a certain wave before you can do that. And then over here, this is kind of where you would set up to go. So you can kind of have a little training area. You can come in here and just like, enemies spawn. You can shoot them up. But, yeah, so these are your weapons. You start with just the pistol, I believe. I think I got these quite fast, though. These two I got, like, really fast. I honestly can't even remember if I started with them or not. I think I did, like, one run, and I, like, had one of them. It also took me way too long to realize you can have two guns. I thought it was only the one gun for a while, and then, or, like, maybe, like, first handful of runs, and then realized you can actually bring two. So I quite like this. Quite like this. I've unlocked, what was the other one? The Bomba, this thing, like the Mega Man arm cannon looking thing. This thing's really fun. The nail gun, also quite fun. All weapons have like a secondary fire, so this one here, you left click and you do a little bzz, and then right click, you can do this like AoE. Pretty fun. And then you also have your gadgets. You can have two of these equipped as well. These I have found by, buying them in the arcade. And yeah, you can have two of these as well. So you can have a Q and a shift. Right now I have a grapple hook on, because who doesn't have a good grapple hook? And then the Q I have as like an AoE, like get away from me, if things are getting like overwhelming. And then there's also like, I just jump up here. Yeah, so there's like stickers you can just find. You can just put them on your gun, so you can just walk up, put a little sticker on your gun. There's just like a little cart going around the place as well, which is kind of fun. And there's a few little tutorial things as well, just like sort of like hidden around, just if you forget, here's a little, here's how you play the game. That'll let you know like what you're going in for. This, I don't know what this is yet. Custom coordinates, beat the big man. I assume that's like going to be the final boss or something. I haven't actually like beaten a run yet. It is, it gets really quite tough. And I had one particularly strong run that it feels like this is the sort of one where you turn into a glass cannon, and then you could just die like really fast if you're not paying attention or something like that. But with this being a roguelike, obviously you're going to be going in, doing runs over and over again sort of thing. Now the way this game sort of distinguishes itself is it has a time mechanic. So every run, you start with 5 minutes. And as you're in the levels and you're fighting, that 5 minutes is going down. And every kill you get, and various other methods and means, you get souls. Now, those souls can be used for various things, but what they can also be used for is getting time back. So this is our little, like, portal gun. It's almost certainly a Rick and Morty reference. I mean, it looks almost exactly like the thing from that show, and it creates portals. Basically, what that lets you do is at any time in the run, unless you're on like a specific type of room, you can create a portal and come back to this room and use your souls to add more time. But you can also use it to upgrade your character using this thing here. These will all activate like once the run actually starts. And you can also use it to heal. If you shoot your feet and you press X and you shoot your little soul, that also heals you. So you've got a soul resource that is used to improve yourself, is used to get yourself more time, and is used to heal. And you have to juggle all that. And there's a few more things like in the runs as well, but we'll jump on in. So we'll grab it. We would shoot this guy with our souls to get time back. You can see on the portal gun on the left there, there's the how much time I got, and this is counting down pretty much all the time. I did die in here one time because I came back and forgot the timer does not stop. So we hop in, and like I said, very odd areas, you know, like kind of places where you're like, damn, I've seen somewhere kind of like this, you know, it gives that sort of weird feeling. And then we shoot our enemies, we kill them, we get souls from each one. So you can see I have 5 out of 11. As we play the game, our soul amount will go up as well, so we can have more souls. Occasionally, you'll find stuff like this, which are just like little feed me souls and get something. So I actually have 5, so I can do that. And I'll get an item. And then these are how we like get sort of significant buffs or alterations to how our character works and stuff like that. So 50% chance to get 2 souls on a kill. That's pretty good. So we've killed all our enemies. We hit E, and we teleport into the next place. Here's little soul containers. We can shoot those as well. Enemies spawn in. Kill enemies. Get souls. Where's my other gun? There it is. And it's pretty rapid. It's pretty rapid. The game moves at a pretty fast pace. Some levels like this, you're not killing enemies. You're actually doing something else. So this one is collect. You need to run into these little golden sunflower guys and collect them. Enemies will endlessly spawn until you've done this. So good way to fill up on souls, but at the same time you don't want to be staying too long. So yeah, we collect all that and we can get out. All enemies despawn once you get it. Every now and again you will come to this room, and this is kind of like your midway point where you get to like upgrade yourself if you've been doing all right. You know, you can come in here, you get 2 free items. So there's that one again, and then loading bar 10% faster reload. That's not too terrible. So you have these vending machines in here. Now, because I didn't go back to the time room, there's a slot machine there that you can spend your souls to get cards. And these cards can then be exchanged in this room for various upgrades. So if I had 2 red cards, you would hold tab, and then under your character's like a little stat sheet there, it'll say how many cards you have. But you can only get those either through those item boxes, which are quite rare, or at the slot machine thing. And then you can spend the 2 cards for... The red one will give you power increase, so 50% more damage, crit chance, boss damage. The blue one's mostly about your gadget. The green one's like health and armor and stuff like that. And this one is give yourself a different item. The first time you come here, this one's always free, so you may as well hit it. And get another item. Let's see what we get. Pause button, I've never got this one. If you can't eject round, press the eject button to pause enemies within aim. Oh, interesting. So there are sometimes you can't leave. And I guess that's affecting that one for me. So time doesn't move in here, which is nice, so you can kind of catch your breath. And then once you've done everything, you just dip on out. You'll come to this for like a second, and then you will be in your next area. So now we're in Silent Hill parking lot, I guess. Again, all very dreamy, you know, like all dreamy liminal space vibe, a little bit of horror. You know, you can kind of see it hopefully. But I'll show you. So if we hit F, we open up a portal, we hop in, and now we're in here. The more you come here between boss rounds, I believe it is, the higher the tax on this thing is. So normally this would be 1 soul, and you could buy that one, blah, blah, blah. Or you can hit cash out, and it'll just spend all your souls, and it'll just do a big random pull of a load of them. But you shoot this guy with a soul, and it adds 30 seconds. So we're back up to full time. And then I would use the rest of my souls to probably like... So we want to focus on more damage here maybe, so let's get a red one. And then let's get another red one. Oh, never mind. I had too few souls. It does not care, by the way, if you shoot it and don't have enough, because it will just be like, no, you just spent that soul. But you get souls so quickly. So it's all good anyway. So come back, and you'll still be at the same progress as when you left, whenever you portal out somewhere. So it's not like you're skipping a room whenever you do that. Now we're in a weird maze where all the ways say exit. Just killing enemies, same old, same old. And the enemies and the levels get a lot more varied as you go up in waves. You can see in the top right it says variant 5 because we're 5 sort of levels in. The highest I've gotten so far is like somewhere in the 40s. And I was seeing levels that I'd never seen before, seeing enemies I'd never seen before. Certain enemies have... Oh, here's a backwards one. Certain enemies have abilities they'd never had before, stuff like that. So it's quite easy to let it get away from you as well if you're not focusing on staying strong, especially once you get to the first boss fight. You'll notice, or you'll know if you've been keeping up with how strong you should be. Oh, we have another one of these. Normally I don't get these this often. Feed souls, and we'll get a handy item. Sometimes you can just get raw damage as upgrades, sometimes you just get like little modifiers. So soul bullet, plus 3-second acid time and damage. So I think this is, if you do acid damage, it adds that. I don't think it adds acid damage to just normal attacks. Ah, okay. So sometimes you won't have a level where you're killing at all. Sometimes you'll have these little like parkour levels. And it's very easy to mess up on some of these. As you can just see. If you don't have proper movement stuff, it's can be a little bit awkward. Obviously, I could have just waited there for my grapple hook, but I tried jumping to the little platform. If I had that other cassette where I had a double jump, maybe that like would have been easier there. So there's all sorts of little variety that can pop up during these runs, and they move so fast. And yeah, it's a great little game, to be honest, especially considering it's in early access. It feels fairly complete, you know, for. Especially for like the price and stuff. I believe it's like £9, $10. Like, I think they said about 6 months, 12 months early access duration. So I'm excited to see like what everything looks like whenever it's like fully done, because it feels like there's a ton of content here already. And the fast-paced nature of it means it's quite easy just to jump into a run and just get going. 10% chance to shoot a homing rocket, that's pretty good. Deal passive damage to nearby enemies, that's pretty good. So I didn't get enough cards, so unfortunately I can't get any more damage. This boss fight might be a little bit tanky. Oh no, we don't have a boss fight yet, so I could get a chance. No, I probably won't get a chance to go back there and get another, and get like a power-up. So we're starting to see some new enemies like coming in. There's these hands that make enemies invincible while they're around them. Sometimes you get some tankier enemies, like this one here. They're not too tanky yet, but if you're not paying attention to your power curve, I guess, then they can get quite nasty. Oh, we got a free item. So there's a small chance you get an item at the end of every room. Usually a very small chance. There's a giant eyeball over there that looks away whenever... Very creepy. But yeah, there's all sorts of little details in the levels and stuff. Like this is a big like cylindrical area and stuff like that. There was a really cool one I did that was it was like a big spiral, and it looked like a spiral that I could only walk on certain parts of it. And as I moved, it felt like the whole level was moving with me. It was very trippy. It was very cool. And then you actually realize that you can just stand off of it. There's no drop. It's actually just like a fake looking drop. It was quite cool. So there's all sorts of fun little visual things going on with this game, and you can find stuff in some of the levels. So like, I don't think there's one in this level specifically, but watch me say that, and then I'll just find something here. No, but like, so you see how I broke that and then went inside there? So there might have been like on another level something similar to that, and then I could have found a sticker or a cassette, and then you know that's an upgrade for our next run. I just seen him at the last second. Don't know if you caught that at the edge of the screen. There's a creature that can turn up sometimes at the end of a level. And if he gets you, he takes you down to 1 HP. But he also takes you to a room that gives you like a random thing. And that random thing can be very good or just straight up bad sometimes. I'm gonna try my best to kill this guy here. He's a little bit tanky because I don't have any damage upgrades, which is a bit unfortunate. I do have a little bit higher crit chance, so I'm going to shoot myself. Oh, no, I've hit the wrong button. I've gone in here. I meant to hit X, I hit F. But this kind of works as well, actually, because I need to give myself more time here anyway. Let's get our time up. And I'm going to shoot the feet, so you can see I use a soul to heal myself. And then, how many do I have? 2, so we'll just, nope, never mind, can't do that. So it should be a 2 tax. Oh, it's +2. It's, yeah, so it's actually 3. Nope, that makes sense. Let's finish killing this guy. Charged up pistol does a lot of damage. Takes a little bit to recharge though. We got an item. Lovely. Enemies killed by gadget explode. Pretty good. And then that's sort of the game, you know, you'll keep going loops like that, levels will get harder. Here's a new type of enemy, it's a giant walking TV. There's also this thing that's just like an alien that just walks up to you and tries to headbutt you. The enemy designs are quite fun as well. Like, I quite enjoy them. Yeah, the visual aesthetic of this whole game is just, it feels like they had a vision and they nailed it, which is really, really cool. That thing is throwing machetes at me, I think. So yeah, and that's kind of look. So you see how it works. Do shockwave damage on jump off the ground. Oh yeah, that's a good one. I had that one before. That one's good because enemies will occasionally get to the point where they're so fast they're just like pretty much on you at all times, and you can just like keep jumping. Quite good. Gadget damage, less damage to the gadget range. Okay, that's pretty good. So I still only have the 1 card because I wasted my souls. But that's all good. You'll see there, like, you're seeing some of, like, same levels, but, like, maybe the weather's, like, looking a bit different, or, like, the visual... Yeah, slight visual differences to, like, the same areas and stuff, so whenever you're in the first, like, I want to say 15, 20 levels, you'll probably see a lot of the same stuff, but then... Or you'll sort of cycle through a lot of the same areas with some minor differences, but then the game starts, like, ramping up, and you start going into some really strange places. And also, sometimes you just... get some weird text around that says stuff like that you can only see from one side of it. That's the very dream like stuff or quality to this whole thing. We got this new enemy type now. I think the enemy variety does expand at a good rate. I think it's paced very well. There's a creepy swimming pool kind of area. There is no like oxygen, so you can just go down here and do whatever. Then the audio is going all underwater and stuff. That's pretty cool. But things get really hectic in this later on. I had a run, my strongest run so far was I got caught by the creepy dude that takes you down to like 1 HP, but he also gave me a corrupted reward, which I didn't have to take. They are optional. And what it did was give me maximum fire rate, maximum reload speed, maximum movement speed, like possible, but also tripled how fast the timer goes down. So everything just got faster. But my guns, basically the reload time was just instant. Like it was almost like they just didn't have to reload anymore. You know, and that really changed how this game felt to play. So that's the sort of thing I like getting stuff like that in these sorts of games. You know, variety is ultimately how these games keep you playing, and so far the variety has been very good. And like I said, I haven't even finished a run yet. Like actually got to like the final boss. That's assuming it even stops there. Maybe it just cycles back around and you go again. Like I'm not sure. Oh, here's these creepy guys. They're a bit tankier. They do some like magic stuff. We teleport out. Here's another creepy swimming pool. Loves the creepy swimming pools. Actually, I need to head back and get some time on the board here. So we're up to full time, and then I'm just going to spend the rest. Actually, I'm going to buy one of you, and then the rest on that. So, as you can see, and I have 3 red cards, 1 blue, 1 orange. Next time we go to that room, I can spend 2 red cards and get a 50% damage increase, and then we'll start seeing damage go up. It's applied to all the weapons and stuff by their own stats. So you'll see if I hold tab, it says my damage is 11.13 with this pistol. If I switch weapon, it's now 4.77. So it's all... Your damage is based on the weapon, and any 50% like damage increases apply to the weapon itself. Not sort of overall as your character, if that makes sense. So we have a corruption. Sometimes these will have like strong enemies appear, and you have to kill them before you can leave. So again, just another little layer of variety. Like I said, there's some missions where you're just not killing things, like the little sunflower dudes that I had to go find and like run into. But there's also like ones where you have to cleanse corruption by standing in certain zones for a bit and stuff like that. So the levels can just really spice it up every now and again. For the most part, though, you will just be killing a lot. As you can see, the enemy numbers are starting to get like pretty high. Thankfully, my speed is still good enough where I can kind of just keep away. And I've also got, you know, just a grapple hook as well, if I really need to get out of dodge. And kill the enemy, or kill the corruption. Big 2D blood splatter. And we can dip on out. Get our items. Ammo and soul pickup, that's not bad. Gadget range, that's alright. So my grapple hook can reach further, I guess. So now that I have 3 red cards, I can spend 2 of them and get a power up. So 50% more damage, and I do 6.27 damage with this gun and 14.63. Pretty decent damage ups. You do feel them. Now you can only buy 2 of these upgrades anytime you're here. It'll turn off the power after you buy 2 of them and then be like, okay, now you have to leave. Just so you can't like stack up on red cards and then just buy a million health upgrades or a million power upgrades and then just be good to go forever. Yeah, this strikes me as the sort of game that's just going to have like a ton of little secrets, you know, tons of little things hidden in it. Little details, little fun little things, sort of stuff that you'll not be finding until, you know, maybe you're tens of hours in. It's really cool. I love the aesthetic. I think it's done really, really well. I think it's easy to do liminal space, like dreamlike style. Like, I think it's easy to do that kind of wrong. It's easy to start well with that, but then difficult to maybe keep it up. But this game, I believe, has done it well. The weapons are fun. So far, every weapon I've used is a little bit funky, a little bit wacky. There's like a yo-yo. There's a bubble gun that pulls enemies into its like blade and then turns them into bubbles, and then you can shoot the bubbles for big damage. So there's all sorts of like wacky and weird little things, and there's melee weapons, so you can do like melee builds and stuff like that. If you get certain cassettes, you know, the ones that give you like more, like the one I'm using now that gives me more health and damage, like that'd be a good melee one. So there's plenty of variety. But yeah, so I feel like I could probably keep going with this run for a while, because at this point I've gotten quite far into some runs, so I kind of know what I'm doing. So I feel like I'll call it there. So you've seen a boss fight, you know, you've seen the general progression, you've seen how the game works, you've seen some of the creepy levels, and like I said, just keep in mind that the variety gets crazy later on. You know, it's definitely one of those ones that, like, when you first start and maybe you're dying a couple of times before you would hit like some of the higher variant levels, you might see some of the same stuff, but once you get there and you start seeing higher and higher levels, you're just going to start seeing some weirder and weirder stuff. You know, it's really cool in that regard. I'm a big fan of this game, especially because it kind of came out of nowhere. I was literally just browsing Steam. The cover art for the game just caught my eye. It was cheap, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pick this up. I'm gonna try it out. Now I've put 4 hours into it, and yeah, I'm recommending it. It's pretty good, especially considering the early access for this right now feels pretty complete, to be honest. So I'm excited to see what else they add. Like I said, they plan on about 6 months to a year in terms of early access time. So shouldn't be too long a wait before this is just done, and it seems like it's going to be a hell of a little game. Sort of like a little diamond in the rough kind of thing. That's how I feel about this one right now. If you like this sort of thing, obviously. I feel like if you've watched this and maybe it's not your thing, then, you know, I don't think this game is going to do anything to change your mind on, like, say, roguelike, you know, shooters, stuff like that. The time mechanic is fun. I didn't know how I would feel about that when I first played it. I thought that would kind of put me off, because normally I don't really like time trial type of stuff, but the way time is like an actual resource, and then the souls used to get time back is actually a resource that you use for upgrading and then healing and then time as well. It's pretty fun. There's it feels like there's a decent layering, decent depth going on here. Yeah, that's ODDCORE. Like I said, you can pick it up for £9 or $10 or whatever your regional equivalent, and I would personally recommend it. It seems pretty fun. In the about 4 or 5 hours that I have played it, I have had a very good time, and I look forward to whatever it does next. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I shall catch you on the next one. Goodbye.